On March 23rd last year, I left my house to do errands like I'd done so many Saturdays before that, and while I was away, my husband Glenn suffered a massive brain hemorrhage. We never spoke again. I'll never forget the day we met. It was July of 1999 at the Coffee Warehouse in Venice. I had just come back from Europe, where my friend Bonnie encouraged me to make a list of eligible men. I was 38 years old and hadn't had a serious boyfriend in almost 10 years. If you have a list, she said, then when a guy on the list asks you out, you'll know it was meant to be. I thought, no harm, and jotted down a few names, but no one special. And then I thought of this guy back home that had been staring at me at the Coffee Warehouse for almost 3 years. He was always there, and he seemed to always be smiling. We'd been watching each other's moves for so long that it seemed like we knew each other, but we didn't. He was strikingly handsome and looked like a combo of Richard Gere, George Clooney, and Viggo Mortensen. He really did. He had green eyes, salt and pepper hair, and always had a surfboard in the back of his truck. So without knowing a name, I wrote down Gray Surfer and added him to the bottom of the list. Once I got back home, I stopped at the Coffee Warehouse, and there he was again, the mystery surfer man. But this time he asked me out. He just blurted it out. "Hi, my name is Glenn. How was your trip to Europe? Let's go do something." I was so stunned that I immediately said yes, and we went on our first date a few days later. That was how we began, and we saw or spoke to each other every day after that for the rest of his life. I never met anyone like Glenn before. He loved me from the start and wasn't afraid to show his vulnerable side. He used to draw hearts on the bathroom mirror with my nail polish and leave love notes on my pillow. He was the love of my life. When I arrived home on that fateful Saturday, Glenn was clearly in trouble. He tried to tell me something, and it came out all gobbledygook, and then he lost consciousness. He was rushed to UCLA, where I was immediately told there's no hope. He's got a brain bleed, the doctor said, as bad as they come. We'll try and operate, but he's already in a coma. You better say your goodbyes. Well, Glenn survived the brain surgery, but after sitting vigil for 4 days in the ICU, more bad news. The hemorrhage had caused 80 to 90% brain damage in his brainstem. The brainstem controls your primal bodily functions like breathing. There was no coming back from this. I called his family in New York, gave them the grave news. I would keep him on life support long enough for them to come out and say goodbye, and then we would let him go. You know, most couples just hum along. That wasn't Glenn and I. Every day for us was excitement and adventure. We just couldn't wait to be together every night after work. We spent 14 happy, fun-filled years together. Did you know the day before Glenn collapsed, he called me at work to tell me that the best part of his day was coming home and cuddling each night. So, just after 2 a.m. on March 28th last year, I crawled up on Glenn's hospital bed to snuggle with him for the last time. And then he took his last breath. Sudden death. It's really awful. It's like standing at the shore where a very large storm is brewing, a tsunami in fact. But you don't know it's coming because your back is turned to it. You're blindsided. There's no time to say goodbye. It comes out of nowhere, like when you're out doing errands on a Saturday morning and your life changes in an instant. It's been 18 months since Glenn died. My perspective has changed. Things that used to bother me now easily just roll right off my back. Life is slower, I'm a different person now. I have to be in order to move forward and find meaning where there is none. Sometimes, when I listen to music, I feel at one with everything. I lose myself in the notes and drift into this merging where I feel like I've spread out and blended into every particle of the universe, where there is no beginning or end. It's really beautiful. This never happened before Glenn died. I appreciate the little things now. A little flower that grows out of the crack of a sidewalk, a bird in flight, my dog Hannah curling up and resting beside me. These things help me feel safe and watched over, and I can always count on them. You know, I used to think being brave meant saving lives. I wasn't even able to save one life. A life ended, and I couldn't do anything to stop it. It was a modern-day film noir where nobody won, everyone lost. In 1811, the principal chief of the Sioux Indians died. So Chief Big Elk went to speak to the Sioux people who were overcome with grief. "Do not grieve," he said. "Misfortunes will happen to the wisest and best of men. Death will come, always out of season." You know, Big Elk was right. Glenn wasn't singled out, nor was he the only one where tragedy came calling. And I am not a victim. Glenn lived a purposeful life and made a very positive impact. His legacy lives on. Glenn was an organ donor, and he helped 89 people, ages 19 to 92, and I couldn't be prouder. So if I honor Glenn's life, which I do beyond a shadow of a doubt, then I must honor my life and spend the rest of my time that I have here living in grace. To me, this is bravery. Thank you.